It's the Seth Williams Show with Mike Kazoka. And here's your host, Seth Williams and Mike Kazoka.
I dare you to try and stop me from going into a women's bathroom. It will be the last mistake you ever make.
In his video, the activist also encouraged other transgender people to buy guns.
Go out, buy a gun. Learn how to use it.
Tara Day published his video after the murder of 6 people at a Nashville Christian school and sparked anger online, which led to the removal of the video. The activist later responded to the criticism by saying he would continue to use women's restrooms and women's locker rooms.
I don't give a f if I lose this account. Report it all you want.
That was nice.
Cheerful.
Hang on.
Antis presents
Real Man of Women's Sports.
Today we recognize the men who've hacked the system.
Hack the system.
Once mediocre in the men's division, now cream of the crop in the women's.
From mediocre to champion.
You couldn't cut it with the boys, so you pushed women off the podium.
Real man still first place.
Because without you, sports would be fair. Without you, women's sports would be for, well, women.
Guys, this is so funny and bizarre. Look at that. That is the Bud Light. That is every single Bud Light stand here at Fenway Park in Boston. Right? We're at the Red Sox game. That's what the Bud Light stands for. Crap. They're in trouble.
And let me try with pleasured hands to take you in the sun to promised lands. Show you everyone, it's the time of the season for love.
It's very important, as you have heard from so many incredible leaders, for us at every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present, and to be able to contextualize it, to understand where we exist in the history and in the moment as it relates not only to the past,
but it is a love based on giving and receiving, as well as having and sharing.
We have cameras today in Texas that are showing humongous groups of dozens or hundreds of migrants walking right into the country. So I'm curious what you meant last week when you said the border is closed.
What I meant is precisely that. The border is closed. We are expelling single adults and families under the Title 42 authority that rests with the Center for Disease Control.
I'm not so sure about that. If you've seen the videos today, there are literally hundreds and in some areas thousands of people lined up at the border waiting to get in once Title 42 goes away. And basically our country will be invaded. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, technically, the way the law was set up before everything got magnified between what's going on in Central and South America and through COVID, the process allows for people to come into the country and request asylum. We haven't changed the law yet to where you have to request the asylum and wait for your hearing someplace else. That would be my suggestion, quite honestly.
Did you see the video of the thousands of runners that they had that just bypassed the area to walk through and be processed and everything else and are just kind of streaming into the country because they want to?
Listen.
Or the, quote, sanctuary cities like New York and Chicago who don't want the illegals to be there.
Right.
And are now busing them out of their cities, even though they are, quote, sanctuary cities.
Right.
And they're there to welcome all.
It is really
Hello, Natalie.
complex. I don't enjoy the fact that this is something we coulda, woulda, and should have been wrestling with for 25, 30 years. Both sides of the aisle. And nobody will take the problem on head on. Because even putting up a wall under the way the law is constricted, it was just to make sure that everybody that wanted to come in and seek asylum got in the right way.
And what's wrong with that? I
you
mean,
just
what's wrong
said.
with trying to get people
I
in
don't-
the right way?
I don't have a problem with that. Ellis Island worked fabulously for a long, long time. And I'm not sure the concept of something like that isn't what has to happen, because you don't want anybody in as complicated, sophisticated as society has become to just show up, drop in, not be known, and float around. I mean, everybody needs to be processed. I worked for the census 2 years ago. We knocked on doors just to count how many people were in the country. Yeah, the job is, why even bother if anybody's going to be able to walk in from anywhere? But
I mean, that's kind of what I have a problem with. I mean, if you're going to come here and you want to be part of this great country, supposedly that is ours, do it the right way. You
I
can't
agree.
even go to Canada and just kind of go where you want to go unless
Yeah.
you do it the right way.
Right.
I mean,
You
there's
can't go
most
anywhere else
countries
unless you have a passport.
you
Amen.
can't just kind of go in and decide to set up shop and put your,
Well-
and just stay there. I mean, you have to have a visa if you want to go work in another country. You got to do it the right way. And
I go
if
on-
we're just going to let people in here stream in, I don't really see that as a good way of.
I don't see that as
running
a
a country.
benefit to the country at large either. As a matter of fact, I would go one step farther. All this stuff that went on with balloons and drones and surveillance, and we know we have the technology to read, your license plate from outer space. There's facial recognition technology being used in theme parks and ballparks to keep track of people and so on and so forth. Let's take one portion of what upsets people about the open border. It's a little oversimplified. It's a little exaggerated, but all those people running in here aren't carrying fentanyl.
No,
But
they're not.
let's do this. If you can if you from space can map where all those cartels are, we have fought world wars for all kinds of political reasons. I don't understand why we can't tell the cartels to close down or they will be taken out, and talk to the governments and say, we're not after you, we're not after your people, but you arrest your criminals or we will. And I would have no problem with we have said, well, there's a war on drugs. Well, there's a war on drugs. Really? Then take them out.
All right, real quick before we get into some more of this, I got to talk about the rest of the show tonight. The politically incorrect mechanic chimes in. Hey guys, Charlie Kalani from Charlie's Auto Repair in Lakewood. He sponsors the hotline here on the show, Charlie's Auto Repair in Lakewood.
Right.
He will be joining us around 5:15.
Okay.
To talk about a parking situation in Lakewood that could actually affect his business. So we're going to talk to him about that. We do have comedian Bill
Bendon
joining us at 5:00. We'll talk to him for a few minutes about you guys got a big show tomorrow night down in Cuyahoga Falls. We'll talk about that and much more. So that's good stuff. So appreciate everybody joining us tonight. But yeah, here's the problem with what you said. I know not everybody is coming across with fentanyl. I get it. It doesn't matter to me. I understand that things may be rough where you come from, but it doesn't mean, again, that you just pack up your family. You put your kids in danger by making this long trip from wherever you're coming from,
right?
And then hope to get into our country illegally. I mean, what it does is it changes the demographics of our country when it comes to voting. It takes away jobs from people that are Americans currently that could use them. And you got to do it the right way. There's no other country you can just walk in. Well, there might be other countries that you can just walk in and stay, but this one is not one of them. And I've heard Obama, I've heard Clinton, I've heard them all, including Republicans and Democrats, all say that we got to do something about this problem. Now, I will say that Congress hasn't done enough, but I'm going to say that building a wall was at least a step in the right direction to try to keep it protected. I mean, there's a border along Jordan's territory. There's a wall there that, by the way, American citizens pay tax dollars towards putting a wall along Jordan's border to keep Syria out. We pay for that as Americans to keep their border safe. What about ours? We're not doing anything there. So why, as Americans, are we paying for a border wall along Jordan to keep Syrians out when we aren't even protecting our own borders here? And I have a serious problem with that. We have an immigration system that allowed more than 1 million people a year legally, more than any other country on earth.
Okay. There is a humanitarian element to this, though. And it's this. You slap on words like alien, illegal, immigrant, cross the border, welfare, and all that stuff. And it just, but I got to tell you something. If you were in such a desperate situation that you packed up whatever you could carry and decided to walk to Venezuela, every single day of that trip would be hell. And for some of these people, the opportunity to better their lives, I don't blame anybody for wanting to come here.
Okay, now let me ask you a question.
Let me finish. The conditions for getting in are supposedly political persecution and other situations that would qualify for refugee status. And it's all supposed to be handled by the courts. The first thing we could do, Seth, is fill those judgeships. If we hired the judges and put them at the border and get all of that kind of stuff done and put a wall of judges and put a wall of military or law enforcement personnel along there and deal with that as it came. And if the cartels are running the shuttle service where they're making all the money and they're separating the families and they're responsible for the kids that die in the woods, but just for a moment, consider what is involved in walking here from Central America with no food, no water. You don't even know where you can take a shit from day to day. If those people, we're allowing those cartels to make that kind of money, traffic those kind of people, abuse those kids, abuse those families, by the time those people get to the border, it's too late to start pointing fingers. Now, because our responsibility is to take care of that shit before it gets here.
Now, let me ask you a question here. Again, we are a country of laws. And so facts over feelings, like Sandy said, is absolutely true. Now, let me give you a scenario. Again, we do have laws here. So if we're going to do it, you have to do it the right way. And so my question to you is, when currently, because I lost my right leg, I don't have a driver's license. And now I do have a car that is outfitted for me to drive currently. Now, if I get behind the damn wheel of a car because I'm trying to better my family and I'm going to go to work and I'm going to use that car to go drive somewhere to get myself some money so we can have more, better things around this house and more food and everything else, I'm doing it fucking illegally. And if a cop pulls me over, he's not going to sit there and say, you know what, Seth, I feel really bad for you. You come from a bad circumstance. I'm sorry you lost your leg. I'm sorry they fired you at iHeart. I'm sorry about your friend passing away. I'm sorry about your luck for the past year. Forget about the laws. Go ahead and drive. Do whatever you want to do. That's not the way this country works.
Okay, well, let me answer your question.
If you want to come here, do it the right way, do it legally, or stay the hell out.
Okay, but you just said you're going to get in your car And you're going to drive and drive and drive and drive until you get pulled over. Then you'll deal with it.
I never said that.
Well,
I'm not doing
no,
that.
no. You said
I'm still sitting here.
No. I said if you did that, that's what would happen. And that's the choice.
So exactly, but don't.
So my
don't expect
point
to
is,
get in. You should
no,
be going home. You should
no,
be sent
the human
home.
Please get real. The human condition is
I'm
you're
so
gonna
sick
do
and
it.
tired of you. All right, you want to cry to somebody, cry to somebody else.
I'm not
It's about
crying.
laws. It's about laws. It's about the
I'm
way
not
our
crying.
country works.
Well-
Come in legally or go home.
Okay. But if their claim is valid, the problem is we haven't processed it. Because you know as well as I do, if you have what you know will be a valid claim to seek asylum here, and they don't get around to giving you the hearing, you're going to cross the border.
Do you know that the U.S. government has lost track of 87,000 unaccompanied minors who illegally entered the country? It is feared many are being human trafficked for underage labor and sex trade. Yes, I saw that story the other day.
What did I say? There should be a hell of a lot more people down there instead of just.
Well, they're sending 1,500 troops down there to do paperwork. So I'm excited for that. Humanitarian, my ass, don't care what they chose to do until we stop people from being homeless on our own turf. Those are our humans, and they are more important.
Everybody always says that, but we've had homeless in this country since the Depression. Fact of the matter is, we don't give a shit about those people either.
Well, maybe we should.
Don't.
Maybe we
Yeah,
should.
I know
Maybe
we should
start taking care of our country.
Every time I'd say we should start treating people better or work on. I'll tell you something. You asked a very legitimate question a couple shows back when you said, "Wow, I asked you a question about what freedoms were taken away, and it stopped you dead in your tracks."
Wait, what'd you say?
I thought about that. Yeah, I thought about that though.
What'd you say?
I thought about that though, and then this is what I've come to. It wasn't so much that I can give you a list of citations as to what law and what right and what this and what that, but I will tell you something. The quality of life in this country, good, bad, or indifferent, Republican or Democrat, liberal or conservative, the quality of life has deteriorated. That's what we're losing. And everybody says, well, take care of the veterans, take care of the homeless, take care of the kids in our schools, and so on and so forth. Well, when we don't, and when people make it all the way to the border, we failed all along the way. It's too late and too little and too much of a magnifying glass, and quite frankly, too much of a political hot button. Politicians seem to take advantage of what they can use the most. Making an issue out of the border seems to serve politicians more than it does solving the problem, because they've both been doing it.
Well, I disagree on the quality of life. I mean, quality of life is what you make of it.
Well, it used to be, except everywhere you go, you're being surveilled, and everywhere you go, and they're trying to get in your bank account and get you to spend your money. They want you to go grocery shopping and just point your phone at what you want to buy so that they can take the money out of your account before you even make it back out to your car. Social media is doing all kinds of stuff that's just going to put everybody in a giant Skinner box, and nobody cares.
I'm going to get back to this comment, but there is such a thing as technology and kind of moving forward. I don't see a problem with going around a grocery store and scanning your items. And I mean, it's not really a big deal. I mean, it's not really a big deal to be able to order something online and have it delivered to your home. It's not
Here's what I don't like
deal.
about it. Here's what I don't like about it. When you talk about how those things affect us, we always have the debate when the dog has already pissed on the carpet. Our debate is always about how do we clean the rug, not should we let the dog in the room. That's all my argument is that none of this stuff, for all of us that care and all of us that get together and listen and all of us that maybe tune into the show because, we talk about stuff that's on everybody's mind and we come at it from all kinds of different angles. Problem is, by the time we have this, it's already been decided. It's already been introduced. They are just now thinking about, well, should we hold and convene studies and hearings on how to regulate AI? I'm sorry. The forest fire's already been lit. I don't care how big a bucket you got. It ain't going to be enough.
Someone is making money off both homelessness and open borders, or both situations would be solved long ago.
I agree.
Probably true. Same as racism.
I agree.
Same thing with racism. That's why you see
agree with that,
Al
too.
Sharpton out there promoting racism,
Absolutely.
basically, because somebody's
Absolutely.
making money off of it.
Absolutely.
We always take care of other countries before our own. Why do we need to do that? We have so many people here that need our help and support. Absolutely.
I don't disagree.
I think Trump fell short a little bit with a wall. I mean, I think we need a dome. I think we need a nice, pretty dome that you can open up so we get some sunlight and some air.
That last week.
And I would cover the entire country. I don't want anybody in. You don't really need to go anywhere. What do you need to go see Italy for? You can have some pizza here. What happened to the money we selectively give to South America to fix things, supposedly causing people to immigrate to the U.S.?
Well, I hate to go back more than like 6 months in time, but an awful lot of that situation in Central and South America is because we assassinated people that were trying to make democracies out of the countries that we were still trying to hold as fiefdoms so we could have cheap bananas.
How does Ukraine affect this? Yet Euro won't pony up. Our borders first. Amen to that. Well, I mean, obviously, it's too deep to get into right now because we have
it's all interconnected. I like what we're doing here, and I agree with you. I'm really scared to death about what Thursday is going to be like.
I think what's going on with the Ukraine is much deeper than anything. Obviously, that has to do with Joe Biden and his son, and there's all kind of kickbacks and weird shit going on there. But we'll get into that another day. Mike, Dems preach on feelings but never prioritize because they might lose votes based on what is the priority. Instead of excuses, take the funding and fix one thing, then move on.
Yeah.
There should be no feelings involved here. It's the
I
law.
I get that, but you know what? I'm going to piss everybody off.
There's people suffering here.
Yeah, but I would piss way too many people off if I ran through the statistics on who runs up the deficit and who brings down the deficit over the course of the last 60 years. It goes up when it's red. It goes down when it's blue. Clinton left his office with a surplus. Clinton not only got rid of the deficit, but there was a surplus. And next thing you know, it was what it was. And here's the thing about the debt ceiling.
Problem with the red and blue, if we go to a blue state, they're just killing each other.
Well, yeah. Like I said, this isn't panacea here either. But the discussions about quality of life is what is the discussion we should.
What's wrong with your quality of life? I'm just curious. You think it's deteriorated? What is wrong?
I'm not
with your
talking
quality
about
of life?
individually. I'm meaning collectively.
I think this country's pretty good for the most part. I mean, I like, you have the freedom to go to restaurants. You have the freedom to do kind of, what you want to do for the most part.
For now.
So they're all going to take that away? They're going to take it away? Is that what you're saying? The liberals in the mid-70s.
Whoever posted this one, I'll stop this one now too. Read your history book, Mr. Nuts. Read your history book and discover who closed all of the state mental hospitals. Who closed all of the state mental hospitals, and then repost after you've read that chapter. Because the 70s is way too early, and we've been dealing with it ever since.
Ukraine, how about the trillion that we went to Afghanistan and zero payback for doing what was their dirty work? Our
you know
money
what?
And our resources are always charity to other countries.
Every single time we have these kind of discussions, we tie them into money. And when we think of money, people like you and me and Chris and everybody at home has a bank account, a debit card, couple credit cards. And when you use your credit card, you got to pay on it every month. When you write a check, it can't bounce. When you want to save some money, you got to put it in a savings account. When we talk about what governments do around the world, all they do is move back and forth imaginary numbers. Economy and money to them, they make and print the money. They don't work for it. They just print it. Or they make interest off of yours. The option, the optical illusion that governments are doing things that they shouldn't be doing because of what you and I and everybody listening thinks is responsible fiscal policy. We're not even in the same galaxy. We're not even in the same galaxy, because here's the deal. I don't want the United States to default, but if we do, who gives a shit? What's anybody else going to do? Everybody else is still going to want our help.
The red side is owned by the war machine. That's why there is a huge fight in the GOP.
That's part of it. It's part of it. And I'm not making that up. And you can't blame that on libturds or libtards or whatever else you want to call me, because it was Dwight Eisenhower that said the two things that everybody in this country has to fear is the military industrial complex and the churches. So yeah, it's just interesting. But like I said, I have no qualms whatsoever sitting down discussing how we might be able to get a little piece of the pie in our favor so that we can fix some of the stuff that would make us feel better about the fact that we got together and fixed things instead of just bitching.
So what do you think is going to happen when Title 42 goes away?
I'm worried about the overload on Thursday. I'm worried about the fact that what I'm really worried about is reporters are going to sit there and go, oh my God, another X amount of people crossed the border, and nobody will do shit about it.
Well, what do you want the reporters to do? Go over and stop them with their camera?
No,
you're right. Nobody's going to do shit about it because the president is sending 1,500 troops down there to, again, do paperwork. Okay. When the people that work on the border have said, don't send 1,500 troops to do paperwork and data entry, which is what they're going to be doing. Send 15,000 troops so they don't come in.
All right. Here, notice and warning and question of the night for our conservative constitutional Republicans listening in right now. Everybody that loves the Constitution knows that there are separation of powers. Congress makes the laws. If the president sends 1,500 troops down to help assist with all of the colossal work that needs to be done, that's all he can do. Congress passes the laws. And Congress ain't going to do shit, because what they're going to do for the next 2 weeks is make this Biden's problem.
Well, you know,
just like the president doesn't decide the price of oil.
So every time that the Congress has done something and the president vetoes it or says he's not going to put it through, that's okay.
Make a list of those. How many times has Congress done that?
Do you watch the news, or are you busy, hanging out with your girl? What are you doing?
Congress hasn't sent one immigration thing to the White House in 40 years.
I'm really getting tired of being talked to like we the listeners are idiots.
I'm sorry if you think that that's personal. If it doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you. But stop me when I'm wrong, not when you're uncomfortable.
Mike, if we're going to go 50 years plus back, which we do quite often, Dems back, KKK, and the like. We have to work on now, not then.
I understand that. All I've ever said was the seed was planted. This shit didn't just pop up 2 weeks ago. It didn't happen in 2016. Trump didn't turn on a magic light. All of that stuff was on the table. All of that stuff is there. And I'll tell you, all this is the greatest reason not to ban books or change history. Because if kids don't read it, they end up doing this when they get to be our age, which is like, well, I don't know. What about now?
All you do is think about the past. That's all you do. Pallets of hard cash. Iran would have taken care of all the homelessness in at least a few states. That's not fake spreadsheet money. That's cold cash we threw away. Absolutely.
Right. But where's the link that says it would have gone to the homeless? It won't go to the homeless until Congress makes it happen. I can't even name a bill that's been passed since January. Can you?
So when the Democrats held Congress, what's your excuse for them?
When the Democrats held Congress, we did pass the job.
Wait, no, I'm asking, did immigration get fixed? Did anything
No,
get done?
Hell no. I said it was both sides. Yeah. Excuse me, but for everybody else that's on their little keyboard right now, who is the only one that says it's both sides? Who's the only one that says it's both?
What are Dems doing?
But that's not an excuse. That doesn't justify not doing anything on the other side. I've said long time ago that liberals need to realize the moon is not in the seventh house. I'm not talking to you like you're stupid. I'm talking about books. I'm talking about statistics. This is sophisticated college level stuff. I'm not doing junior high, Sandy. But my whole point is the moon is not in the seventh house and Jupiter didn't align with Mars. And I don't know what Biden vetoed because the bill you're talking about, you didn't even mention. He didn't veto anything that has to do with, as a matter of fact, he continued the Trump era Title 42 and for 2.5 years of his presidency because it was an effective way to deal with the problem.
Now what's he going to do?
I don't know, but Title 42 was based on COVID. Somebody takes that to court. The court's got to rescind the ban and change it themselves.
Not to revisit it, but so is the $10,000 free cash to kids going to college.
True.
What's he going to do about that? So I'm trying to figure out which way this guy is going to go.
So,
I mean, you realize, if you want to revisit like years upon years ago, go back and listen to some of Biden talk when he was in the Senate and everything else. You go back and listen to that asshole. And he's talking about, he's the most racist fuck I've ever heard in my entire life. One, he's horribly racist. He talks about all kind of things that never even happened. And then he makes up stories that are happening now. The guy is crazy. He's lost his mind. Go back and listen to what he said back in the day, since you send me 14 videos from like 1932 and on every single day. Go back and listen to the way your president is talking and the way he talked back then to compare what he does now.
Okay, and I will remind you,
as
I have not defended Biden half as much as everybody that wants to run me off the air is going to stand in line to vote for somebody who, is the biggest charlatan to be in office since who knows. It's both of them. And the only people that get it right or have a chance to change things are us. And we're not each other's enemy. That's my whole premise.
Well, I think we are enemies at this point. There is a right and wrong. I hate to tell you. I always say this. There is a right and wrong. Last night, and I'll read Chris's text here in a second, but last night I turned on accidentally the MTV Movie and TV Awards that were on. I guess they were taped because the host dropped out because of the Hollywood strike or whatever. Drew Barrymore backed out. But the first thing that I see are 3 drag queens sitting on my television.
Right.
Now, the MTV Movie Awards are on multiple channels because they're all owned by the same company. And that's what I see, and that's what's being promoted to children. I turned on Let's Make a Deal, which is a show that I like to watch. It's a fun show, but it's a game show. Again, it's daytime television, and 3 people in the crowd were drag queens. One was a psychologist that you're supposed to go see if you have mental problems. He should be seeing himself. And that's what we're promoting. There is a right and wrong in this country. When you have a government that is promoting child mutilation, that is promoting and saying it's okay for a 3 or 4-year-old or 5 or 6-year-old or 7 or 8-year-old to decide that they want to change their gender, and we can give them puberty blockers, we can mutilate them, and that's okay. And you're a racist, a bigot, and a horrible person if you say otherwise. That's insane. There is a right and wrong in this country.
I agree.
What is going on now in all facets is wrong.
All right,
when you have a guy who's been arrested 40 damn times and is on a subway and he's threatening people, he's talking shit, and somebody a Marine steps up and says, I'm not going to put up with this. I'm not going to let anybody get hurt on his train because this maniac, who again has been arrested 40 different times, should have been still locked up. And now it's the Marine's fault. Now the Marine is going to be on trial. Now you have protesters stopping subways because somebody did something to try to help people. This country has gone off the rails, man. It has. And it's one side that's done it. Now, I'm not saying all the politicians are great on either side. But it's one side that has crazy ideas.
No. Advertising is not a liberal institution.
I never said anything about advertising.
Advertising is who promotes the other stuff. Advertising is what gives you the Bud Light commercial. And here is why prejudice is wrong on both sides. To have conservatives sit there and say, oh my God, this is some big liberal plot, okay, is just as wrong as for me to sit here and go, oh my God, another mass shooting. Funny, no one ever says, must be a liberal Democrat. Now that is just as wrong as the rant that you just gave.
Okay, I've never said anything about mass shooting. I mean, you want to change the subject, that's fine. Mass shootings are mass shootings. And again, the liberal side wants to blame the guns. The liberal side wants to blame the guns for mass shootings when it's the crazy people that are doing it. All right, it is.
I understand.
It's the crazy people. I played a video, I'll play it again for you, of a transgender person saying that I'm going to continue going into women's bathrooms and I don't care what you do. And that person actually called for people to arm up, called for people to go out there and get guns. And that is a crazy side. That is not one person. That's a microcosm of what's going on in this country. There are many people that feel that way, including the one who went in and shot up a school.
Okay. But by the same token, some guy that didn't like Jews walked into a temple and shot a bunch of people too. It's the same thing. And there is the answer to what happened to the quality of life in this country. It's just you can't put all the good on one side and all the bad on the other, because that ain't the world we live in. And I'm telling you right now, whoever designed Snapchat to where a little 4, 5, 6-year-old kid can sit there and change their face so that they are a beautiful woman before they understand the changes that are going to happen to their body and decide, wow, I like myself better that way. And nobody sits there and makes sure that their kids don't have Snapchat, because those companies are allowed to do that because they can make money. It's called unfettered capitalism. When capitalism gets a conscience, we'll all be better off.
It's so weird when you say stuff like that, because it's a constant, it's a repetitive thing that you do every single show.
So is Joe
where
Biden.
You go back to Snapchat. You know what? There were little boys and little girls that dressed up as children for many, many years before Snapchat came around. Some dressed up as girls and princesses and everything else. It happens. Some little boys played with easy bake ovens. You know what? They didn't grow up to be women. It's not Snapchat that's causing the problem.
I didn't
it's parents
say it
that say, you know what? You feel better in a dress? Go ahead and wear one.
All right, Seth, that's my problem. I didn't say it was. But my point is, why, in the name of making a buck, does somebody say, let's put this tool in a child's hand? Straight razors.
We moved from old-fashioned politics in this country and moved to a popularity contest. Wow, Trump bad. Wow, Biden demented. Well, it's true, though.
I completely agree. And I'm the one saying, let's change the dialogue and tell both of them to shove it up their ass. So let's start hearing some suggestions instead of Kleenexes and tears.
Those people that weren't left off the subway should all charge the protesters for kidnapping, being held against their will.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. What's the difference?
I get that.
Wait, or is it okay to protest and stop people keeping them on a subway?
No, because protesting is wrong if they're protesting an idea you don't like.
An idea that I don't like?
Not you personally. Not you personally. I'm talking about the universal you.
Protesting when you stop people from getting off of a subway and keep them there should be illegal. They should be charged with something. They should be charged with kidnapping. I mean, are you crazy? I mean, what's your idea of protesting? Burning down cars and burning down buildings and
civil disobedience,
letting people sit there? You know what I would have done? If I was running that train, I would have run their asses over. I would have run their asses over. I would have plowed right the fuck through them and let them all get out the hell out of the way. You want to stand on a train track? Let's see what happens.
Okay. And my point is, yeah, you took that one off real fast.
I'll put it back up.
I'm kidding.
I'll leave it up the entire show.
I don't want to be the president. This isn't a popularity contest, but my God, something other than sound bites and the shit that comes off of a media that we've all agreed is
Wait a
I didn't
second.
say Snapchat was the problem. I said it was one.
You want to talk about sound bites? You send me 14 a day. Do you want me to show the list on the camera? I'll show the list of videos that you say are sound bites that you send me every day. Usually it has to do with the banks and the 1%, but I can show you 14 of them.
Yeah,
They're
I
all
get
here.
that.
They're all sound bites that you say that you're criticizing now.
I'm not. No, sound bites weren't invented till the TV with the. Where is the middle? The middle is when everybody stops screaming at each other and says, "We're not going to take this." Now, I'll give you an example. Do you remember, I don't know, a few months back, I said something about, the automation thing and putting people out of work and so on and so forth and all of that kind of stuff. And I said, we have the power of the purse. If we want corporations to pay attention, all we have to do is stop spending our money. And you said people are going to do what they want to do and all that other stuff. You were the one that just showed how impressed that guy was that nobody at a Boston Red Sox game was buying a Bud Light. That's exactly the kind of power I said that we still have. And that's the kind of stuff, after some discussion, would be nice to see us do a little bit more of.
You know what's going to happen to Bud Light, though? Nothing's going to happen to Bud Light. Nothing's going to happen to Bud Light. Bud Light will still be around in 100 years.
Yeah, because all those people,
protests will go away.
Bud Light, all those people that aren't drinking Bud Light moved over and bought a Coors, and it goes to the same company.
Now, you do understand, though, that at least when they protested Bud Light, they weren't stopping people on a subway and holding them hostage. You are aware of that. Keeping people from being able to move is wrongful imprisonment.
Yeah, I understand that. And an unauthorized touching is called an assault. But the Marine is supposed to be a hero.
So what would you do to the Marine? I'm just curious.
I don't know what to do. I'm
asking you for your opinion. This is a talk show, so I'm asking for your opinion. Let's see if you actually will say what I think you're going to say.
He choked the person long enough to take their life.
Yeah, the media, you know what the media reported at first, right? They said 15 minutes.
Yeah, I know. So it's
closer
to whatever.
It was 6.
Okay.
And what would you do if you were on that subway and somebody was threatening people?
All right. First of all, that hasn't been confirmed. He was,
according to numerous witnesses, he was threatening people.
No, read all the stories.
I've read all the stories except for CNN. Sorry.
No. All the stories you sent me.
That one,
they said he wasn't threatening people. He was just ranting and raving like crazy people do in New York. I am blaming the behavior. I'm just saying it's a tool, the same way the gun is. With kids that are impressionable. That's the whole crux of it. I'm glad we're stuck on this. I really am. Because it's not like anybody is putting forth something that does anything except illustrate the need for some decent common sense dialogue. As if, for once, again, it was a chokehold. Oh, for God's sakes in heaven. There's a detailed story that talks about it is a blood chokehold that was taught to him at boot camp.
And you did see 2 other people that were trying to restrain the gentleman who was, crazy, not threatening people. He's been arrested. You know he was arrested like 40 different times. Yes. Should have been on the streets to begin with.
Yeah, and it had been a couple of years since his last arrest, and all those people. I don't disagree. He shouldn't have been in a hospital. I would bring back mental
hospital
and orphanages. Yeah, get them off the street. No, it's just for being homeless and crazy doesn't make you a criminal.
Arrested 40 times.
He would encounter with the police, and arrest means he jumped over the thing. He jumped over the turnstile to get into the subway. That was the crime over and over and over and over and over again. Rick, read, please. I don't know what you heard or what you did, but you can see it in the video. His hand is across his throat. And fear of grievous bodily injury is when you can use, but you're not allowed to use any force than what's coming back to you. Otherwise, to take this logic thing is every time you think, oh, that guy's a nut, you can shoot him. Just take out it's all concealed carry. Yes, he was. He missed a court appearance. He had a warrant out. All right. So everybody that you think is going to just take the gun out and shoot him and say, well, I probably did the country a favor. I don't know. You talk about how's the quality of life deteriorated. For somebody to take somebody else's life and not even be affected by it or have that trouble him or go the rest of your life and not even give a shit that you killed somebody, that's the world we live in now.
If someone is holding a group of people hostage and a good Samaritan kills them before it escalates, he should get a key to the city, not a murder charge.
Okay, and that is probably true and has nothing to do with what happened on the subway train. There wasn't a group of people being held hostage. Nobody felt threatened. They all got up and left.
He did say he was ready to die.
Yeah,
if that's what it took.
A lot of desperate, crazy, whacked out people.
I'd have done the same thing.
Say kill me.
You needed to restrain that guy. You needed to restrain that guy. It sucks what happened to him. I feel bad for his family, but this is absolutely outrageous.
I feel bad for the fact
that
the guy
absolutely outrageous
did it.
When the good guy is the one that goes to jail. The same thing that happened in one of the stores that happened.
Crazy guy went to the morgue.
Hello, yeah, so be it. Did you see the story back in the day? I mean, if you're going to keep talking, I'll just kick you off the show. No, I'll go to the guess.
You do it all the time, but go ahead.
Did you see the story where the bodega guy in New York City, of course, because they're crazy there, was being robbed, and the guy had a gun. The bodega guy shot the guy, and the bodega guy went to prison. And then he had to be released from jail after he was charged with murdering somebody that was trying to rob him. I mean, what is wrong with you people?
Well,
the good guys are allowed to do their thing. The guy was a hero. The guy in the subway is a hero. He's a Marine, and he did what he had to do. And the fact that you're going to support the crazy person who is threatening people on a subway is insane to me.
Okay, very well could be. But when you say the bodega guy, the arresting officer, the prosecutor, the judge, please don't tell me that in your mind they're all liberal Democrats.
Well, they are.
No, it was the rule of law working itself out.
Yeah, the same.
Because I'm going to tell you something. Until the crime is investigated.
Right. You stabbed the bodega guy.
Yoy.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand. There's no reasoning with you. How could a Marine who's trying to help the people on a train be charged
he killed
with murder?
Somebody.
I would have done the same fucking thing.
Somebody without choking him to death.
I would have done the same thing.
Doesn't make it right. And you mean to tell me you literally think you could choke the life out of somebody and not care?
If it meant for the betterment of people that were on the train, of course.
How were the people on the train bettered? They weren't annoyed.
He was threatening people.
Seth. Really? He didn't touch anybody. He didn't bother anybody. He didn't ask for any money. He ranted and raved about not having any food, not having anything to drink, not caring if he went to jail. And God damn it, as bad as his life was, he said he wasn't afraid to die. That wasn't an invitation for somebody to just go, fine, I will choke you to death.
Because that was his intent. You're saying that the Marine had the intent to kill the guy.
No.
Did you read what he said?
I didn't say charge him with murder.
What are you going to charge him with? You know what I do? I give him a fucking medal.
Well, okay.
Amen. I would have beat Seth with his own leg to protect us.
Right. But if you didn't stop and you beat him to death, you took it too far.
Man, I feel really bad for the younger generation having to listen to shit like this. It's really sad. It's really, really sad. I mean, you would have defended the crazy person then, right? You would have wanted the Marine to go to jail, is what you're saying. That's what you're hoping for.
I am saying I don't want to live in a world where you can casually kill somebody and on the
casually killing somebody. So you think he casually killed somebody?
Yeah.
You think that was a situation where this Marine was on a train and said, you know what? I
Have
feel
you
like
read his
killing some
statements
crazy
since it
person
happened?
today.
Have you read?
I'm asking you a question. You think that he was getting up that morning and saying, you know what, I'm going to go casually kill some asshole crazy person on the subway today?
No, he made a bad decision in the spur of the moment.
You're right. He can't. I hope that people just turn off this show. And I'm sorry. I apologize to the
all right, watch how it plays out all week.
I really do. I'm sorry.
Metal.
And hopefully we have we'll see if it's a funny comedian, but we'll have a comedian on, I guess, at some point. It's shocking to me.
Seth, all I've asked
What's going on, everybody? It is Chris Aiken back once again with another edition of the New Music Moment right here on the Seth Williams Show. And today I'm going to introduce you to a band that is going to kind of prove the new way of hard rock and heavy metal. In the past, you guys all know the formula. Most of you are old enough to remember. Band would get signed for $1 zillion. They would put out 3 or 4 videos that all cost $1 zillion. They'd go out on a tour for 2 years. They'd play every city 15 times. You would see them. First, you'd see them opening up for whoever was the biggest band at the time. Then the next time they came through, they would be a headliner themselves. That was the formula in the old days. And it was a great formula. It worked for a lot of years. But it is 2023, folks, and that formula does not work anymore. So the band I'm going to introduce you to today is a band that is already highly successful in the modern regard, and yet almost nobody knows their name, which is astounding to me. The band is known as Lansdowne, and I'm sure for most of you, you have no idea who this band is. They've actually been around since 2006, which makes it even more scary that you guys don't know who they are. But someone knows who they are, because in the streaming circles of the world, they have over 100 million stream plays on their YouTubes and their Spotifys and whatever. 100 million streams. That's a lot of streams, folks, no matter what size band you are. In addition to that, these guys are doing the heavily modern way. They're doing it not so much selling their songs to radio and XM and those types of platforms. They're selling to big business. Their music has been featured in like the iRobot commercials and the NFL and MTV commercials. These brands are picking up the music of Lansdowne and is using it, which has become a highly successful method for this band. Now, anyway, with that all said, Lansdowne wants to get more known for their music themselves instead of being, man, that was a cool song behind that Roomba commercial or whatever. So they are actually putting forth more effort now, more than in the past, to actually sell their new music. Their new album is called Medicine. It's been out, I think it's been out a little over a year now. I think it came out like a year ago, February or March. They are straight up a modern hard rock band that touches on heavy metal, but it's really much more hard rock than heavy metal. They really are a fantastic band. So don't take my word for it, though. Let's just prove it right now. I'll give you a little taste. This is Lansdowne with their song Medicine right here on the New Music Moment.
What you say or they'll bury you. But if we all step up and then push back, maybe we could use a little medicine. We're not gonna be slaves to you. Don't give a damn about your point of view. So tired of all the fucking hate you spew. We are why you won't it only go so far until the walls are finally at your door. Dropping their feet on all the vitriol. We are maybe we could use a little medicine.
All right, that was Lansdowne with the song Medicine from the album of the same name. It has been out for a little while now, not a ton of time, but a little while. And make sure you check it out, won't you? It's a fantastic album. I definitely give it 2 thumbs way up. It's a great record, certainly worth your time. Again, the band is called Lansdowne. The album is called Medicine. You can check them out at lansdownemusic.com. And that's Lansdowne. Lansdowne, not Lansdowne. Just Lansdowne. So check them out and check out all the bands that we feature here on the New Music Moment, because I'm trying my best to bring you guys some good ones. Make sure that you check out my stuff over at chrisaiken.net. You can catch Chris Aiken Presents with myself and Stephen Piercy's guitarist, Mr. Eric Ferentinos, every Monday from 8 to 10 p.m., and, of course, the Classic Metal Show on Saturdays if you like it dirty, okay? That's theclassicmetalshow.com. So for the Seth Williams Show and for the New Music Moment, I have been Chris Aiken, and guess what, folks? I will be again tomorrow. See ya! What separates Triv's Restaurant in Strongsville from everybody else? Some restaurants you go to eat the same thing over and over and over. But then there are restaurants like Triv's, where you want to go there every single time and eat something different until you have eaten every single item on the menu. Why? Because the food's delicious, and it has been for almost a quarter of a century. Triv's has amazing food, outstanding service, and an opportunity for you to have private dining, special events, and intimate occasions. You can enjoy a memorable fine dining experience in your own dedicated, intimate space. Visit Triv's in the heart of Strongsville. Call now for reservations, 440-238-8830. Triv's in Strongsville. Joe Burdick custom flags are amazing. Each flag is handcrafted to reflect the imperfect perfection, making each piece of patriotic wall art unique. This is a local small business, veteran-owned and proud. Joe Burdick creates symbolic artwork that is built to last. Display your spirit, pride, and patriotism by calling 440-305-2065 and let Joe's flag serve you. 440-305-2065. Joe Burdick Flags. Let me introduce you to Charlie's Auto Repair. Any car, any truck, any problem, Charlie's does it right. You know how it is. The check your engine light comes on, you put air in the tires, and the light is still on. 216-470-0170. That's Charlie's Auto Repair, 13728 Madison in Lakewood. Charlie can do it all, from small engine repair to fleet maintenance and system diagnostics. 216-470-0170. Charlie's Auto Repair. Let Charlie make your car great once again.
Back here on the Seth Williams Show with Mike Jaselka. Before we get to our guest, we do have Charlie Kalani coming up in a little bit from Charlie's Auto Repair. I'm going to talk about something. And before we get to our comedian friend, let's get some of these texts in real quick. Leftists always claim these crooks are just minding their own business and these evil people just attack them. Yeah, the Marine was a terrible human being.
Yep.
Somebody has to step up and say enough. Absolutely.
Okay.
How about the Marine was reacting to this lunatic not meeting the expectation of civil behavior? Absolutely. Every word about this lunatic's rights is a blind acceptance of his bad behavior. Of course it is. Even the freaking governor of New York said, oh, it's very unfortunate what happened to a passenger on our train. What if you were trying to talk him down and he starts stabbing you? Wouldn't you want someone to step in? Not what happened, but still a bad decision. Seth Triff taught you well. What would happen if someone comes on stage tomorrow during your show, Mike? You going to buy him a drink or yell for security? He's going to call a plumber. And, maybe he can hang out with him. So there you go. Marines bad. Crazy person, been arrested 40 times. Good. That's the way that Mike likes to roll. Let's welcome our comedian friend on. Bill, how you doing?
Good. I'm glad we're coming on a light note. That's always good. We love that.
Yes.
It's always good when you come right in the middle of it's almost like I'm at one of my family parties when I was younger. You walk in the door, the fight's already started, and they're like, "Hey, how's it going? All right, duck this one." So come on in, brother. I love it.
Here on this show, we don't have fights, though. I mean, it's more or less we get told that we let everybody over the border, and that's okay. And then if you're a homeless, crazy person who's threatening people on a subway, a Marine casually kills you, and that guy should go to jail forever. So that's where we're at. Thanks for coming on, though.
No problem at all. I actually look forward to having fun with Michael tomorrow night and raising some money for a great cause.
Well, good. We're looking forward to that. You guys are where? The Funny Stop tomorrow in Cuyahoga Falls?
Yep.
Yes, sir. Great place. Amazing club. Been there forever. Pete and Tony, when they took over from Paul, was just one of our favorite clubs, without a doubt.
Little history for people that don't know. The original Funny Stop was Hilarities in Akron, and it was in the original church that Jimmy Swaggart preached in. And
Exactly.
Condo was in the back of the building, and man, after everybody locked the doors and went home and said goodnight, you had to sleep there. It was weird.
Yeah, the only good part about that was I didn't have to sleep there unless I couldn't drive home. Right. But yeah, when you were there, it was an interesting situation.
We have covered, Bill, comedy from a lot of different angles, questions from Seth and from me. The one I wanted to ask you is, there are always times where you think that a show is going to be amazing, the venue or the location, stuff like that, and it leaves a little bit to be desired. But can you think of one where you said, okay, this will pay the rent, or I just fill a date on my calendar, stuff like that, but then when you got there, something about the show or the people knocked your socks off?
Well, you're never going to believe this, but I have a perfect example of that from just this weekend, because I got approached to do a fundraiser down in Southwest Ohio, just right about 20 miles from the Indiana border, out in the middle of God's country there. And they approached me. It was right around Thanksgiving. Hey, we're having a community event. But we want you to know, this is a conservative town. We're here, but we're raising money. And when she started telling me what it was for, I'm like, okay, sounds like it's in my bailiwick, but I'm not really sure. Back and forth a couple times. Hey, Bill, we're excited, but just so you know, it's a conservative place, So I go in there thinking, and again, it's out in the middle. It's 45 minutes outside of Wapakoneta. All right, it's down there. Beautiful part of the state. Pull up, and of course, the town's only 100 people. It's good size square footage, but again, all farms and things. It's an old school. They have a community center. Long story short, I get in there. They have like the most amazing centerpieces. The tables are just fold out cafeteria tables, but they have this incredible linen cloths on them. They have these handmade signs that look better than in any of the comedy clubs. They look like almost out of Haight-Ashbury signs, all handmade. Welcome to the comedy club. Incredible. The food is amazing and fun, and the people. Turns out they couldn't have been any more fun. It actually, in my bailiwick, it's a big, giant Catholic community right in the middle of Southwest Ohio there. And they were just, I was born and raised Catholic. It was like I was in a Catholic church. They had been drinking since about 4, right. Eating good food, ready to have fun. And it really was just like an amazing night. And they raised not that night, but they were trying to get to the $1 million. And after we were done, they had raised and reached over their $1 million thing. So it was just, that was one of those ones where, and actually Mike Gersh, who's going to be with us tomorrow, I brought him down there to open it. We both said it was just like, a show you would have, like, I've done shows at Four Seasons that, orchestrated. The sound was amazing in this little tiny old school, which is now a community center. Just incredible, really fun and over the top.
So I'm just curious, what bird sanctuary are you at right now?
Oh my. I'm actually in the back of my house, in my back little cottage, I call it. But it's funny you said that, because there's a lot of bird mating going on, if I could say that here. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but this is egg laying season in my back, and I have to say they're a little randy here. So you might see some squirrel action behind me. Just give me a wink and I'll drop the shade. But it's mating season here in Shea Bendon. I'm sorry about that.
Actually, that would add to the entertainment of the show if we saw some squirrels actually going at it.
Well, honestly, you should have come to me about 10 minutes earlier, because they were right behind me. I saw some on the corner of my eye, and I look at it. Sure enough, I had never seen it before in my life, but I have to tell you, it's enthusiastic, fast, and he gets out of town. You definitely know who the male is by the way it ends. We'll just put it that way. So,
great. How long have you been doing comedy?
I started, my very first time up was in 79 and 80, my senior year of high school, when I went to Kent State, but actually didn't really, there were no real clubs then except for New York. But then got back in it about, I would say 86-ish, right around when I got married, and then really did my first clubs and stuff at 86, 87. Actually, the Akron Hilarities was one, and the Cleveland Comedy Club. The old Cleveland Comedy Club was actually the first one I had went up on. But, and then the Cleveland Hilarities, the old Cleveland Hilarities, and Cleveland Improv, and then It's Comedy. I was thinking about that, like all the rooms then that popped up, regionally, even here, like It's, and then there was Mad Hatters out in Paynesville, and, then all the little towns like outside of Pittsburgh and Detroit and Indianapolis. And, so that's then, I would say 86, 87 when I really started. All right, now, this is what I'm going to try and do. Still working my butt off during the day, because our kids were just born and shit then. So,
what do you think the comedy scene is like now compared to back then? Do you think it's better or worse?
Honestly, I guess I'm not the best cat to ask for that. Just because, like, I'm old now, and I'm lucky in the fact that I don't have to do a lot of the clubs that I don't want to do. The couple improvs and stuff I do are just ones I like and I know and stuff. But I would say it's definitely different, but so is everything. You know what I mean? So I really, what's crazier to me, and the only thing I can get on my old man rant about, is the difference between being a stand-up comedian and being someone who does TikTok or or does, which again, I'm not looking down at it. It's fun. If it's funny, it's funny and it's great, and do it on TikTok and stuff. But I don't think you can say you can then take that up onto a true stand-up stage and do what you do on TikTok, because it's just an entirely different thing. But again, now that's kind of like, me trying to say, rock carvings as opposed to beautiful pictures. It's just eggs and oranges, or, but I think comedy, the crazy thing about comedy is it's always going to be needed. And as long as there are assholes, which we all know there's a never ending supply on whatever side you want to look for assholes are, there will always be the need for and the opportunity for comedians to come along and point it out.
Are there any subjects now, because of the way society is today, that you try to avoid when you're doing comedy? Do you avoid the transgender stuff? Do you avoid what?
Well, honestly,
like that?
luckily for me, I was never really a big guy that I don't punch at the audience. That's not my thing. And I'm not about like interacting with people doing that. So luckily for me, I don't have to count on, like worrying. Michael tell you, I mean, I'm a storyteller. My whole thing when I'm doing stand up. So I'm lucky in that vein that like I never really did a lot of transgender or anything for those, not because it didn't affect my life. And honestly, if I could get on a boat, soapbox or whatever, I would just say, if it's funny, it's funny.
Right.
That's it to me, and that's always been my thing. Now, again, do I not know when you get on the West Coast, especially and in corporate situations, which is what I do a lot more now and things, then okay, I know there's certain things I'm just not going to get to. But luckily for me, I probably wouldn't have anyway.
Right.
So because me, it's more about talking about, just life and crazy shit and trying to find the stupid and make it funny and illuminate it and that. So but again, I don't look down my nose at it, and I pray, thank God there are guys and women that do that because it's needed. It's just thankfully for me wasn't my vein, so I don't have to worry about it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Would you still agree though, after being able and being blessed, fortunate to travel all over the country and, like you said, change your material and learn from people and stuff like that, that for some reason, man, Cleveland and Northeast Ohio is a great comedy town. This audience welcomes you with open arms in places that like fold their arms and say, prove it.
Well, and what I try and tell people that haven't grown up or known the Cleveland experience of it, when you have been, I don't know if you want to say beaten, or I guess just treated the way you are as a town and as a thing, then you either become angry and bitter from it, or you go, all right, so I'm going to show you that what you think of me is just your reflection of you back at me. And I'm going to prove it to you, because not only am I going to show it to you, but then I'm going to make you laugh about it when I show that to you. Because like if you win all the time, or if you're the good looking dude or the good looking girl, or, that, like, granted, you have your own little things, but you don't know that feeling of never ending kicks. Like, my boys always like it. I go, to be a Cleveland fan of any kind, you have to be able to take a good dick punch. You know what I mean? If you can't take a punch to the dick, then you have no reason being a fan of Cleveland or live in Cleveland or be anywhere around Cleveland. Because if you are, you're going to get a punch in the dick 2 or 3 times when you don't expect it. I mean, when you expect it's one thing, but when you don't expect it, and then so you can only take so many dick punches, so you finally have to say, all right, I'm going to put on my cup and I'm going to make fun of the fact that I've had too many dick punches in my life. So I think that helps kind of, you want to say, get that ball rolling of, I've had enough of this bullshit. Now I want to laugh about whatever kind of agony I'm in. I'm guessing Cleveland is a pretty good crucible for that kind of stuff.
I agree. And part of us still are descendants of the old court jesters.
Well,
and if you put bells on your shoes and paint your nose red and kind of be silly and stuff, you can walk up to the king and tell him he's full of shit and not get your head cut off.
Yeah, and then turn around and just like in classic Rickles fashion, just go, but look who's telling you that, the little guy from Cleveland, you know what I mean? Right. So you can always turn it back on it and go, whatever shitty thing you think you have, I've had an aces 100 times.
Exactly.
And so stop it here,
How many times has this happened to you? It's really funny because I always make a point of standing by the exit door and thanking everybody for coming out this show. I'll shake
hands. Which I always liked, and that's the thing I always do too.
right? And people will come up to you and say, here's this little thing you can use in your little skitty. And then they will tell you the most racist joke you've ever, and you think to yourself, oh my God, you just heard an hour and a half of my best stuff. What made you think I would like that joke?
And that's going to be my new closer that fits in with everything else I just
right.
You know, and it's always from like the person you would never expect it from. It's not from the guy that looks like me, like a skinhead or whatever else. It's always the bank manager dude or the oldest woman in the thing that will come up to you and tell you that. And you're like, for Christ's sake.
Oh my God, lady.
I don't. But
It's
again,
amazing.
now, and then more times than not, that happens here. I got to say,
right.
On the road. But oh yeah, because it's that crucible feeling. I guess that's it.
I don't want you to get away without answering this question too, because then I will tell everybody that's listening to us. Not only have you been doing it a long time, but you're damn good, really funny, great writer, all that kind of stuff. And that's fine. What everybody who is part of this charity event that Jay put together, everybody's doing 10, 15 minutes of their time to put together a 2.5 hour show and give people a taste of all kinds of different comics. But for people that really deserve and should come out and see a good hour of great comedy, where are you going to be over the next couple months? Can people come see you that really should come see you?
I actually, the closest to town here, I'm going to be at the Wheeling Island Casino. Not next Friday, but the next one, whatever date that is, I should know it. But that's the closest here. I do have some corporate things, and actually I've got 2 country clubs, but those are private shows that I've got. And then East Palestine, we're doing that last fundraiser there too, and 2 Tuesdays also. But not the next Friday, but the Friday after, I'm at the Wheeling Island Casino, which that's a great room. That's their big theater room. They always pack it. And then, if you get tickets, I know they give you a deal on the room if you want to stay and gamble and stuff. It's really a lot of fun.
Do you have a website? Is there some place where people can follow you and what you're doing?
There's BillBendon.com or Bill Bendon on Facebook. I got my Facebook, which check me out there, and I always have my dates popped up on there too.
Perfect.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Bill. Much appreciated. The waystationinc.org is how you donate to the East Palestine charity, and then you can get your seat and go check out the show tomorrow night in Cuyahoga Falls. What time does it start?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. East Funny Stop in Cuyahoga Falls, and I think it's gonna be a great time. It's a great venue, and you were fantastic. So thanks for joining us today, Bill.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, guys. Great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We'll talk again soon, my friend. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks.
Thank you. We will be right back with Charlie Kalani from Charlie's Auto Repair in Lakewood. He's got a little situation going on with the city, so we're going to talk to him in less than 2 minutes. Hang on.
Got it.
Hey, it's Seth from Mario's Barbershop in Parma, 7526 Broadview Road in the Pleasant Valley Shopping Center right next to Big Lots. You got to check out Mario, man. Great guy, does a lot for charities, but can perform miracles with hair. He even made me look clean cut. Does my hair, does a great job. Love talking to the guy while I'm sitting there. It's a great place to go, local business. You gotta go to Mario's Barbershop in Parma. Mario's Barbershop in Parma, 7526 Broadview Road. Again, in Parma, Pleasant Valley Shopping Center, right next to Big Lots. Or give them a call, 216-520-1977. That's 216-520-1977. Mario's Barbershop in Parma.
Trust Joe's Lakewood Computer at 14035 Madison in Lakewood. They have over 30 years of professional service handling laptop and desktop repair services, virus removal, and data migration, and much more. You can trust them with hardware updates to your computer's memory and hard drive. Call 216-651-3880. Whether you need a simple Windows install or you're interested in the latest computers for gaming, call Joe's Lakewood Computer at 216-651-3880.
This is Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers, for attorney Will Spiegelberg. Will Spiegelberg is not only a name you know, he's someone you can trust as your attorney no matter the circumstance. Will Spiegelberg is an attorney you can always count on. Will Spiegelberg is the attorney you should contact for all your legal work. When you need an attorney, call Will Spiegelberg at 216-233-4240. Attorney Will Spiegelberg, a great teammate. 216-233-4240.
Right back here, the Seth Williams Show with Mike DeSalco. Got to give a shout out to Mario from Mario's Barbershop. I know he wasn't feeling good, so Mario, wish you well. And his barbershop is fantastic. Check it out if you get a chance. Another great sponsor and friend of mine joins the show, Charlie Klein from Charlie's Auto Repair in Lakewood. How you doing, Charlie?
Good evening, guys. How you guys doing?
Good, Charlie.
Fantastic. We are.
Well, I wish I was talking to you under better circumstances.
Yeah, no kidding. We're about to be invaded by illegals coming up, and you're having your own problems.
Have been.
Yeah, well, it's going to get worse. So.
That's true.
So what's going on in Lakewood? Apparently, Lakewood is doing some. I mean, we all know Lakewood at this point,
yep.
And they have a lot of good restaurants, I guess, and some coffee shops, but other than that, they're a little crazy out that way. Not to put words in your mouth, but that's what I feel. So what's going on out there?
Well, last week, the mayor and one of the councilmen introduced an ordinance that the short version is that it would be impossible to comply with and stay in business.
How so?
There's stuff in here. They want to introduce a completely new chapter to the codified ordinances. They want it strictly pertains to automotive repair garages and automotive related businesses. They call it the automotive business operations ordinance, or as I like to call, the automotive business elimination ordinance. There's rules in here that I'll give you a few of them here. One, they want to limit the parking on the private property. So any of us that have a parking lot, they want to limit that to one spot for every 250 square feet of usable shop space. So your average bay that you can bring a car inside is somewhere between 10 by 25, 12 by 25. So you're talking about, one parking spot per bay. Well, we have 5 bays here. Only 3 of them have lifts. So that gives me a maximum of 5 parking spaces that I have on our private property, and a parking lot that I can put 20 to 25 vehicles on if I want to. But then they take it a step further and say that not only are our parking lots limited, parking spaces limited on our own private parking lot now, the third restriction here under how the operators of these businesses have to conduct themselves says no operator shall park, display, or store any vehicle or equipment on any street or alley. So it's not bad enough that they want to tell me how many cars I can keep on our parking lot. They also want to tell me that I'm not allowed to park on the public parking. My customers aren't allowed to park on the public parking. But everybody else's business, if you don't have an automotive related business, like a bar or restaurant or whatever, coffee shop, whatever, your customers, your employees, you are perfectly welcome to use the public parking. The mayor herself actually said these words came out of her mouth on Monday when I was at the city council meeting, that a automotive repair shop is a private business. And forgive me if I don't quote this exact. She said it's a private business and should be just that and not be allowed to use the public parking. And I'm sitting, I almost fell off my chair like, so what? As opposed to what? Angelo's Pizza is a public business. I don't understand what we're, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And the more you read it, the worse it gets. They want to impose a permitting system to where we have to have a yearly permit, just like a rental property would. Only with this, they want to be able to inspect, come inside whenever they feel like it, and do inspections before they give you the permit. Then on top of that, if you violate any part of this ordinance, they can suspend that permit for up to 30 days, and you can't work if you don't have the permit. So effectively, they can shut you down for up to 30 days without any due process whatsoever. Then it gets even worse than that if they take you to court and convict you, because this is an ordinance, that means it's a law. If they convict you on violating any part of this ordinance, first offense is up to 30 days in jail.
You can't be serious.
I swear to God. I wish I was making it up.
Charlie, this is
yeah.
Now, is this up for vote or just being jammed in?
So it's not up for a vote by the public. It's going to be up for a vote eventually within the city council. So if they want to ram it through, they can ram it through. They can ignore anybody that speaks against it and just push it through. There is no grandfather clause in it.
Right.
I don't know. We've tried to argue some stuff about being grandfathered in the past, and it didn't work regarding some different things. But
are there any hearings scheduled for this?
So last I heard, it was being referred to a committee. Last Monday was what they call the first read.
Right.
There'll be 2 more reads.
Right.
And in between that, there's supposed to be it's going to go to some kind of a committee. Now, I haven't heard of anything on the agenda for the next city council meeting, which will be a week from tonight. But according to one city official that somebody spoke to, according to her, it's on the agenda for the next city council meeting for the second read. Now, I haven't seen an agenda yet. I sure as hell haven't heard about any of these the committee meeting that it's supposed to be, that it was referred to, which I assume is who looks at it and decides, what can stay, what has to go, how it has to be worded or reworded. But it's a 3-page long ordinance that our mayor here put together along with one of the other council people. They also say something about we're not allowed to conduct any work outside of a completely enclosed building. What happens in the summertime when I open the garage doors and it's 90 degrees outside?
No kidding.
And 120 in here.
Right. I
what I mean?
A couple things real quick.
Go for it.
Somebody, this ain't about parking. That's the excuse. Somebody wants your business. Somebody wants all the independent business. And I'll give you the other example because I used to live really close to Lakewood. There's no such thing as an independent veterinarian in Lakewood anymore, because what the big conglomerates have done is taken all the mama papa veterinarian things and bought them all up, and the prices went through the roof. Somebody, some chain, something wants all of the auto repair business in Lakewood, and they're going to use this ordinance as an excuse, like you said, to eliminate the mama papa, the guys like you. So my point is, do you know all your allies? Do you know the other guys that are doing?
Yeah, so last week, I actually found out about this by accident last Saturday, and immediately started calling all the shops. But Mike, this is going to affect the corporate guys too. I talked to
come in and build a giant little lot and find a way, and they will make do for stuff like that because
I understand, but the second, one of the other things in here is parking outside of the public of the parking lines on the lot, or parking in front of a garage door. A tow truck comes and drops a car at 11 o'clock at night or 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever, and drops it in front of a garage door. Now you're in violation, and if it's a first offense, you're facing a 30 days in jail, all the way up to a third offense, which is they have in there for as a second degree misdemeanor for 90 days in jail. So this city's been hostile towards the automotive industry for a long time, ever since I can remember.
Yeah.
Back in the I want to say it was the early to mid 80s, they passed an ordinance banning used car lots unless it was attached to a new car dealership.
Right.
We used to have 7 new car dealerships in the city of Lakewood.
Yeah.
DeLorean Cadillac was 117th.
Yeah.
Old man DeLorean.
Spitzer used to be right there.
Spitzer used to be right 2 blocks from us, on Detroit there. So Fairchild Chevy, Barry Buick was the last one to go a few years ago.
Right.
So I want to push back a little bit that it's not about the parking, because that's always been one of the main complaints. That's the first thing that anybody brings up whenever this topic comes up. But what people don't understand is that the way the city of Lakewood is built, and I know the people that are running the show know this, the way this city was built, it was, number one, it was built when there were still streetcars running up and down Madison Avenue and the rest of the streets. If you dig up the street, you're going to find, and I'm pointing behind me because the street's behind me, but you're going to find tracks underneath the street.
Amen.
But the way the city was constructed was to jam in as many people as possible, because the more people you have within the city limits, the more city income tax you can draw in. And these guys, they know this, but in a 4-block area where I'm located, we've got 5 automotive repair garages. One of them's a gas station. God knows how many bars, probably 5 or 6 bars. Angelo's Pizza, a daycare center, over 100 apartments, individual apartment units. And at the height before, at one time, there was probably 35 meters in a public parking spaces. And now there's one parking lot that 3 or 4 businesses share throughout the day. Since then, and this is the other funny thing, they want to talk about parking, but out of 5 meters across the street from us, they eliminated 2 of them and dedicated them to 2 separate businesses that are over there. They made one a 15-minute drop-off zone, and they made the other one through COVID. They started some temporary business to allow for restaurants to do carry out since they couldn't be open. I'll get to that in a second, Brian. They allowed a daycare center to open up over here next door. There used to be 9 parking spaces that were free on the side here, on the side street next to us. Now there's 6 metered spots. Now you have people that...
What scares me is you've got your own private lot next to your building, and they're telling you how many and what kind of parking you could... All right, now that right there in and of itself, there is somebody that can do enough stuff to slow this down. And I'm not going to name names and talk about there, and I don't want you to air what you've already done, but we got to talk. I know some people.
I've already reached out. I was actually talking to one of the corporate attorneys from one of the corporate shops here, and I was on the phone with him, and I told him, where he could dig this up. And within, he looked at it for, maybe 20 seconds of silence on the phone. And the next thing out of his mouth was, how is this even constitutional?
Thank you.
I'm just a dumb dago from the west side of Cleveland here with a 12th grade education. And I'm looking at this saying 4th Amendment violation, 5th Amendment violation, 14th Amendment violation. I mean,
process
absolutely.
Taken, please. No.
All right. So my question is, Charlie, I mean, you pretty much already answered this, but I know that you're kind of an outspoken conservative kind of guy.
No, come on.
Which I love, but you don't think that the city is targeting your business specifically with this kind of thing?
No, that's everybody.
It is directed at everybody, but I've already had a couple people, including some of the other shops, tell me that, this is about you guys. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but
regardless,
they can't pass a law and say that it's directed at one person. They have to enforce it equally, which, if we have to cross that bridge, we'll cross that bridge when we get there too. Are they going to come after me and use discretion with everybody else, or are they going to apply it across the board? Either way, I didn't see anything in here, very little that is legal, or better yet, covered under existing law.
Thank you.
And talk about Angelo's, though. Talk about Angelo's. You said we're going to mention
right.
Talk about Angelo's.
Yeah. So God, I want to say maybe 7 or 8 years ago, Angelo's asked to be allowed to put, I think it was 8 more tables inside. They wanted to add 8 more tables. They wanted to remodel and put 8 more tables in. The city approved it, but there's no parking. Then more recently than that, and my years might be a little mixed up here because I feel like I was, 25 yesterday. A little shortly after that, they started the outdoor seating business, and they let them put probably 6 tables outside.
Right.
But again, there's no parking. So, it's just, and then at the city council meeting, one of the, I don't remember who it was, but one of the heads of a department that has to do with business and stuff like that, and planning, he was, I think there was something, I said something about how this city always talks about how they want to work with businesses and work with people. And I said, this is a really funny way of showing it. And he said something at the end. It was after all the talking had taken place. And I've posted the link to the video and audio from the meeting. It's on my Facebook page if you want to go check it out. Then you can listen to the whole deal. But he said something about that we have less business vacancies in the city. So I guess they're talking about storefronts and stuff like that.
Right.
And then we have in a long time, I want to say he said something about like maybe the last 10 years. But okay, so on one hand, you're telling me that parking is a massive issue. And at the same time, you're bragging that we have more businesses in the city than we have had, and we have the lowest amount of vacancy in the city. So which is it? Because you can't have both at the same time. Either you're going to have a lot of businesses and nobody's going to have a place to park, or you're going to have access to parking and not a lot of businesses. It's one or the other. And they've been after us for a long time. But we've been on this corner for over 50 years. My family's been on this corner for over 50 years. If we were doing something wrong, do you think you'd be in business for that long?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. I used to visit a friend who used to live in an apartment that was like right next to your shop. I think it used to be like either above or whatever. Next, there was another parking lot right there. And your shop has been there forever today, man. And I'll tell you what, the parking lot's always packed because you guys do good business.
Good work.
We try to.
Good work. And you've been my mechanic for how many years now? Since we're working with Triv with the benefit and everything else, you've done good stuff for charity. And it's not because you're just a friend, but you do good work. And so the fact that the city's trying to do this to you is shocking to me. I mean, you guys are a staple of that community and they should leave people alone. But I don't know what kind of government they're running there.
In this area, our business has been, I want to say our business is the longest standing business in this area. I believe Firestone is probably second. I think they came in, shortly after we did. But there none of the other businesses have been here for as long as we have, and the building itself has been an automotive repair garage nonstop since it was built in 1922.
Wow!
We actually have pictures from that.
Is that old Tire Kingdom place that used to be across from the Odeon still vacant?
They knocked it down.
Wow.
They knocked it down, and going back to what you said, I think that's what they want to do with. No, we're not. I mean, we have a customer to whoever asked for selling cars.
Yeah.
Every once in a while we get somebody like Seth wants to sell his car, but he doesn't want to deal with selling the car.
Mhm.
So then, we'll handle it for him. But no, as far as like an actual used car lot, we don't do that. I do that as a favor to some of my customers. But anyways, somebody told us probably 10, 15 years ago that the city wanted to put townhouses and a hotel where we're at and where Firestone's at next to us.
Somebody wants you. It's not like you're going to
So-
slap a Joe
Oh,
Biden
yeah.
24 sign in the window and all your problems will go away. This is bigger
Right.
than that.
But look at, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, you got Lakewood, where Lakewood Hospital used to be, is a big grassy pit.
Yeah.
It's got its own Facebook page called The Pit,
Right.
the Lakewood Pit, because that's what it's been. Why? There's another one where that old movie theater used to be on Hilliard and Madison.
Right.
The same thing. And what do? They got a problem with all the people letting their dogs go over there and go to the bathroom. So what did they do? They put a little post there with plastic bags so you can clean up after your dog. But what's it being used for? Nothing. I firmly believe that unless these people could walk outside and just see a bunch of empty parking spaces 24 hours a day, I don't think they'd be happy.
Well, I got a couple ideas that I don't think I can even say over the air.
All right.
So let's talk.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's your plan now? What are you going to do?
Well, right now I'm trying to find out where this thing went. If it's allegedly going to be up for a second read this following Monday,
right?
The 18th, then what committee did it go to, and where is it, and how do I get in touch with those people to try and find out what the plan is here or how they feel about it. I put an email out to my councilman, but haven't heard nothing back from that. Asking these questions, and I don't think I will, because this is another problem that I've been trying to get addressed for over 10 years now. These politicians, the mayor, the judge in Lakewood, anybody that's an elected official in Lakewood, not to single out any one person, but none of them are beholden to me. And the reason I say that is because I don't live in the city of Lakewood.
Yep.
So I don't have a vote in here, despite being impacted by who the mayor is, who my city council person is. So it would be no shock to me if they just ignore me and do whatever they feel like.
No, we can't let that happen.
Is there
It
anything
kind
that
of goes
people
back.
can do?
Seth,
that?
Is there anything that people can do? Can they call? If they live in Lakewood, can they call, or how does that work?
Yeah.
Can anybody do
So
anything?
so you can
pack the hearing.
So the ordinance number is 10-2023. You can definitely call, if you live in Lakewood, you can call your city councilman and tell them that you don't support it whatsoever, because this runs the risk of forcing out every automotive repair garage in the city of Lakewood, and then people are going to have to take their cars into Cleveland or Rocky River to get them fixed, when they could, if they had a problem down the street, they could just push the car over them, and get it repaired. So it's gonna be a hassle for us, and it's gonna be a hassle for all the residents too. If like I said, I don't know for sure that this is going to be on the agenda for the next meeting. I will put it on my Facebook page as soon as I find out.
Let me know. Yeah.
And I'll let you guys know too.
Let us know for another reason, Charlie, because this is something we were talking about earlier in the show. This is a perfect opportunity because they have to have a public hearing. They can't just do reading, and then rubber stamp it.
Right.
Whenever that public hearing is, everybody can show up and show some support and do something and expose what they're doing. And at the same time, if we get a crowd there, we also, Seth, you, me, know enough people that we can get some media attention on it too, and get a lawyer involved to file some stuff to slow things down,
right?
So that we can do this and not have you on the show in 3 weeks and saying it's too late.
Right.
We got to do something now. So
yeah, this definitely isn't just about me. They might have had me in mind when
maybe
they
it's your corner.
wrote
Maybe
it up.
somebody wants your property.
Well, that's very true. And in that case, I tell them, make us a reasonable offer.
Thank you.
Or be quiet. I've been saying that for years when I get into arguments with people about about stuff. You can show up if you're a non-resident.
I agree with Sandy. Sandy, a body in the chair that is still going to voice their opinion and support for Charlie would be welcome.
Absolutely. Well, if you bring your car to a garage in Lakewood, you should be allowed to speak again about it. I had a couple people showed up last Monday when we got up there after they read the ordinance, and that's the thing. They didn't even read the ordinance; they just put it up on the screen.
Yeah.
And the mayor read a little bit of it of her introduction, her letter that she started it with, and that was pretty much it.
Is that ordinance on your website too? Is it on your Facebook page? Good.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, that's on there. The link to the Fox 8 news story is on there, and then the actual language is on there as well, and so is the audio from that city council meeting.
How do people find you on Facebook?
So hang on a second. I don't know the URL off the top of my head. If you look up Charlie's Auto Repair on Facebook, I'll give you I think it's facebook.com/Charlie's Repair, because I think Charlie's Auto Repair was taken when I made this. Hang on. It's thinking. Give me a second here.
When you're not in jail, Facebook jail.
I was gonna say, you have to
for the time being,
yourself every couple months. That's why you don't know what your address is.
Right. Yeah, Charlie's Repair, all one word. And I'll make sure all that stuff is up there so people can read it for themselves. But there was, and it was nice. We did have a couple other automotive garage owners showed up last week, and hopefully we can keep that momentum going, and let these guys know, like, you can't because a tow truck drops a car at 3:00 in the morning in front of their garage door, or shuts up somebody's business down. And if you think I'm exaggerating about that, I didn't want to, really wasn't planning to go this way, but if you think I'm exaggerating about that, almost 10 years ago, City of Lakewood produced some documents that they said were from the 80s that showed a parking plan that we agreed to only use 6 parking spaces on the property. Okay. Now that's a bunch of BS to begin with, but it had a signature on it that didn't belong to anybody here.
That's discoverable, dude.
And it didn't matter. They enforced it anyways.
Right.
So after they enforced it, we didn't have a choice. We had to move a bunch of cars, and unbeknownst to us, we had to leave all the garage doors open to everybody, which is another problem of itself, because I park cars in front of the garage door because that's my security system to keep people from coming in. And I say that because about a couple of years ago, somebody broke in through the bottom of one of the garage doors and stole about $40,000 worth of equipment. Okay, but that's a different thing. So what happened was, big empty parking lot in the city of Lakewood, that most densely populated city between Chicago and New York. And what do you think is going to happen after hours with all the bars and restaurants and everything?
Amen.
What was happening? People were parking on the property after hours. We didn't know about it, except for occasionally on a Saturday, find somebody's car parked here because they had to get a cab called for them or whatever. But we don't know what's going on. Well, what happens, Mike? I got a building inspector that lives 2 blocks away.
Wow.
He starts coming over 10 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, and he's taking pictures of cars parked in the parking lot. Next thing you know, they mail us a 24-count indictment to the city, not a county. Yeah, right. Exactly. Complaint, to go respond to. So Dad, in the effort of trying to work with these people, goes down there, and he says, they say, well, we'll tell you what, you plead guilty to 3 of them, we'll drop the rest. Okay, great.
Wow.
Let's get this done. Let's get back to work. goes in there in front of the judge, different judge at the time than the one we have now.
Right.
Night and day difference. And the judge wasn't happy with this. Dad says, please no contest. Thanks. Give me my fine. I'll go pay the fine and let's get out of here.
Right.
Judge says, well, I'm remanding you until I can decide what your sentence is going to be. Keeps him in jail for 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
This was in June of 2014. Kept him in jail for 2 weeks before he let him out.
There's something else going on here.
So, if you think I'm exaggerating.
No, you're not exaggerating. Two
my examples.
One of them is the judge has changed and the mayor's changed. So whoever is the politician, the more things change, the more they stay the same. That. But number two, one other thing you should do just to cover yourself is go to your property records in Lakewood. Because every time somebody requests information on the property, they got to sign for it.
Right.
See if anybody, a realtor, a corporation, a holding company, an investment firm, see who's taking a look at the specs on your property.
All right, that's a good idea.
Charlie, we're going to keep in contact with you and figure out what the hell's going on. You got to let us know what's going on. Keep us informed on the hearings and everything else. Because I don't want to let this die. Because
I also have a records request to the city also for anything with any department that involves this ordinance or this property for the last 3 years.
Well,
so
we're going to be in touch with you. I promise you that.
All right. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you for coming on tonight and explaining everything. And people can look you up on Facebook, and we're going to have you on again as this thing progresses so we can get down to the bottom of all this.
Absolutely.
So if there's hearings that we need to go to, you need to let me know so we can get people out there as well. So
all right. Well, I appreciate that. Thanks, guys.
You're a good friend, and I love you. And thanks for everything.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Charlie's Auto Repair in Lakewood. Thank you, Charlie. I'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
Bye.
See you, Charlie.
Much appreciated, Charlie Kalani. Charlie's Auto Repair in Lakewood. He's a good dude. Sponsors the hotline on the show.
Yep.
He's a good person. So we'll keep everybody posted on that and see what happens. Thank you, Mike, for tonight. Much appreciated.
Likewise.
Thank you, Bill, for joining us tonight. And thank you, Charlie Kalani, explaining everything. Good luck tomorrow, Cuyahoga Falls.
Thanks, man.
The funny stuff. Hopefully it's a great show. And you guys raised a lot of money. So thank you again. And we will talk to you hopefully on Wednesday.
See y'all. Good night, everybody.
See ya.